So, hello, I'm speaking today with Dolores Lee, who is the admin support for BASA, which is British Airways Stewards and Stewardesses Association. Thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you, Tara. Thanks for inviting me.
So, I know you've had a very fluid career within British Airways. Would you like to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I had 33 years service in British Airways. I just left in 2016. So I joined in 1983 on a temporary contract, so not looking to stay any more than a year, and I ended up 33 years there. So in various departments, started off as a secretary. I worked in the terminals, I've worked in insurance branch, all sorts of branches within the company, but my longest stay was as cabin crew before I left in 2016, and that was 20 years. I spent there as a senior cabin crew member. On the ground before that as well, I did some time on the ground in Terminal 4 and Terminal 5 as well.
So what was it like actually being there? Because I'm presuming there wasn't many black people there, when you started, and whether there is now, I don't see many black people, black stewardesses when I'm on British Airways. It's normally if I'm on a Caribbean flight that I will see. But tell us a bit about that.
Sure. So when I first joined in 1983 on the ground then, I went over to work in Terminal 3 and there was literally one other black female. I remember her, I mentioned her in the video, I remember her to this day. As regards black managers or other black staff, very, very far and few between. Even now, I don't think I can name maybe half a dozen black managers that they have. Cabin crew, it's tended to increase more now. Of course, when I started, there weren't that many of us there, but now we've got a new fleet called mixed fleet, so it's kind of incorporated a little bit more, injected a little bit more in, but there still is not that many black crew there at all, not that many.
Do you think that's down to the people that are applying, or the way that it's advertised, or what do you think the reasons are?
I think it's probably a combination of both. I think perhaps people are wary or not. They're not really encouraged to go for it because they probably think they won't get the role. And if they don't see themselves reflected in that role, that will hold them back. So, really that's where we've got the work to do. We've got to show that what we see on the TV and what, is portrayed by the company, we actually see that's reflected by us. So that's something that they really need to do a lot of work with. It's not enough, it's never going to be enough, but they need to start somewhere.
So moving forward, how do you think they do change that? It's okay as saying they need to, but yeah, what can they do to do that?
Okay, so I think, first of all, they need to be aware of diversity and inclusion. I know they say that they are diverse and they are inclusive, but sometimes I find it's just a checkbox and it's not actually really been put into practice. So what I would like to see, we have so many wonderful black professionals, a couple I can name myself. I've got Carmen Morris, she's from Kenroy Consulting, and she's a diversity and inclusion expert. And we also have Cephas Williams. I don't know if many of people have heard about him with the 56 Black Men initiative. So those are the type of people really that we need to be getting into companies, into organisations, because they're the ones that are going to drive this whole initiative, this whole movement forward. I'm sort of at the end of my career, but for people like yourself and people that are coming up behind you, we really need to have that energy and we need to have that motivation. So we need to go, they're our go-to people, really.
Mm-hmm. Now, we are talking about the stewards and stewardesses at the moment, but how is it when we're looking at the pilots as well?
Yeah, again, I don't think I've ever met a black female pilot. There may be one somewhere, I don't know. I've never met a black female pilot. Again, it's just a handful of male pilots. Unfortunately, there is an issue with racism in the company. People don't speak about it very often because I think they may be wary, they're a little bit frightened to speak about it, or they feel that they won't be taken seriously. So again, it comes back to, if you don't see management or someone in a decision-making role that you can go to with something like that, you are not going to go anywhere. So it's again, we keep going back to the same thing, Tara. We know where we need to start and what we need to do, and that is right across the airline, as you say, with stewardesses, stewards, pilots, because, you know, you're working in such a close environment with each other. It's very insular as cabin crew. You know, you're spending a lot of time with each other, away from homes, etc. And you really need to feel that you are included and you're not worried about having to deal with things like racism. We have enough of it already. But, you know, that, I think that is where the company needs to go. And they're a little bit slow at coming forward, but they really need to go down that route. That's my opinion anyway. So
you mentioned the issue with racism. Is it something where it's within the organisation, or is it the people that are using the fly-in, the customers, or a bit of both?
It's actually both. It's almost like, I don't know if I can say this the right way, but I think sometimes you've got two sorts of racists. You've got the ones that are on the far right who will come out and say exactly what they feel in no uncertain terms. And then you've got the other side of racists, which is quite subtle. And it's almost like they have a code and it's a way of telling you who they are without actually saying it. I know you're nodding because I know you understand what I'm saying. So that is the side that worries me more. The other side, we know, they're always shouting, they're always screaming, we know who they are. But the ones that are quiet and silent about it, those are the ones that I find a little bit more dangerous. So we do get that. Once you, and almost like you're getting it from your colleagues, and then you're getting on an aircraft, you're getting it from passengers. You know, I have many black colleagues as crew, and they have so many stories that they would love to share with you, or I would share with you on their behalf, you know, Tara, that will explain what we've just spoken about. But that is how it is. You know, you really do have that element, and it's almost something like you deal with it every day. You know it's coming. You can spot somebody like that. You know, you tune in very quickly to what people are, how they're going to be, and how your day is going to be. And it shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't have to come to work and have to do that. It's crazy.
And it's very interesting that you mentioned that, because those subtle forms of racism are the most dangerous, because they're the ones that we can't fight against. They're the ones that, you know, when we do raise those points, it's like, oh, you're just taking it that way. You know, they didn't mean it in that way. And it's so easy to cover up. And it's so rife within larger organisations. And I can't imagine having to deal with that on, say, a 12-hour flight. Yeah. You know, if you have a customer that is behaving in that way, where do you go and where do you raise that?
You don't. You see, it's just once that door is shut at 39,000 feet, it's there. If you're an in-charge crew member, you have a little bit more power, so you can actually take control of that situation, but you're still relying on the support and the backup of the colleagues that you work with, because if they're not backing you up, then again, you're isolated and you're dealing with something like that on your own. You know, I mean, and again, the scenario is I've had people come on board, passengers come on board, I'm the in-charge crew member. It's obvious I am, because I have a different style of uniform, you know, to the main crew, and they will walk straight past me, or they'll speak to the person next to me. But it always I always say it's karma that comes back, because generally sometime on that flight, you know that person's going to need something or maybe have a problem. So when you then go down and they recognise that you're the senior cabin crew member, the mood kind of changes. But it shouldn't be like that. You know, you should be able to just be recognised, you're in charge, have that respect, and that's it, nothing more.
I mean, it's very, very interesting talking to you and actually understanding, because it's one of those sides that I'd not actually thought about, and you know, being stuck to a certain extent, because it is like you're in a different universe when you're on that plane, and you have to create that universe. And I know for myself, when I've been on planes, I have felt things from people from different environments and different countries that they often aren't used to dealing with black people. And I can't imagine how that would be. So, you know, how do we enforce moving forward, kind of, because there must be a way that we can kind of ask the hierarchies to put in place some kind of legislations that will protect black people and encourage them more to come and take up those roles.
I think you're absolutely right, and you've asked a great question. Where do we start with that? I think we need to start at a point where us, as you and me, we're doing this today, and this is how it should be. We need to do more of this, we need to talk more, we need to engage more, and we need to support each other more to come up with ideas where we can start. There has to be a starting point for all of this, and we do have to be united with it. So a good place is this, to talk to your colleagues, etc. But it's almost like the problem isn't ours, Tara. As Black people, it's not my problem, and it's not my job to educate someone else. What I would love to see is the people that I work with come to me and talk to me about it, and just listen to what I have to say. 3 things you need to do: listen to what I'm saying, accept that I'm telling you what is real, and support me. There's nothing in between. Please don't, if I come to you with something, please don't let the first thing come out of your mouth be, "Are you sure?" Or, "Oh, well, I've never seen that." It's not about you. It's not about your feelings. It's about my feelings and your feelings as Black females. So that is what's important.
And that's such a great point, and something that I harp on about at every given occasion, that this racism is not a problem for Black people to try and fix. It's not our problem. We cannot fix it. We're not in control of it. It's a white issue, and if they see that there is a problem and they accept that there is a problem, then they need to try and fix it. And the only way, like you say, is to talk to us and to find out what. But we find in larger organisations, often the person that is acknowledging that there is a problem is often made into that victim, and then kind of highlighted as being somebody that is a troublemaker or whatsoever.
Yes. I totally agree with you with that. And I've heard that many times. And I think, again, that is why they're frightened to speak out, because the next thing you know, they're moved on, they're moved out, they've left, they've been harassed. And, we can't move forward, we can't progress unless we have that support and we have that, network in place for us. Again, it comes back, as you said, it isn't our problem. It's not my issue. I don't have a chip on my shoulder. I'm comfortable in my skin. I know who I am, and like yourself. But it's other people who maybe they need to ask themselves the question. They need to hold the mirror up to themselves and ask themselves, well, what am I doing? Can I do better? It's just that, really. It's simple, but it's just made so difficult, Tara.
Definitely. I'm a fierce advocate that it's all about education and, really kind of opening up your mind to understand different things. And I do think if the rest of the country could acknowledge that Black people have been in this country for a very long time and doing some amazing, great things, they would see us differently. But it's a long time coming.
But we will get there.
we will get there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on today and giving us a little bit of insight of what's happening at BASA. Is there anything else that you want to tell us before you go?
No, only that, again, I think I mentioned on the video that I was the first Black female rep at BASA. So all I would say is, if anybody is maybe worried, or they feel that they can't live their dream, or there's something that they're passionate about and they really feel that they've been held back, please don't, talk to us, get things like this going that we have, get a little network of friends that you can talk and share your ideas and get your confidence up that way. And just know that it's out there, everything is possible for us and we can do it, and really that's all I would say, is to have that confidence and believe in yourself. You can do it.
Brilliant. And what about for any budding stewards or stewardesses out there? How do they find out how to come on board?
Well, as I said, we've got certain groups. We talk to a lot of our Black crew. We have our groups amongst our Black crew. But as I said, I'm with the union. If anybody wants to approach me via the union or via yourself, by all means, if there's anything I can do, any advice I can give, or point in the direction of the professionals that I mentioned before, both Carmen Morris and Cephas Williams and people like that, then please do. I'm very happy to share my network and to support whoever needs it. So please don't be frightened to come and ask.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been a joy talking to you.
Thank you, Tara, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.
No problem.